Welcome to Showing Up Anyway, the podcast for people who are not perfect. On this show, we talk about intuitive eating, fitness without obsession, and healing your relationship with food and your body. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of Showing Up Anyway. And look who showed up. You did. And I'm here with you. And we're going to be talking today about before and after pictures. What's the harm in them? Why people take them? And why I don't. I've decided to call this episode, You Are Not a Before Picture. Now, you know what I'm talking about, right? The dramatic split-screen photos that gyms, personal trainers, and companies who are trying to sell you a product are using. I'm talking Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, Herbalife, most every big box gym, most personal trainers have before and after pictures of people either using their products or using their programs to try and sell you something. And I think it's worth mentioning that especially in commercials, these pictures are often greatly exaggerated with terrible lighting and poor posture in the before pictures, and then perfect lighting and a smile on their face in the after. You've been seeing this your whole life, especially now in the age of social media. And that's why we often correlate our value to our size. We've been seeing these images since childhood. Does anybody else remember waking up in the middle of the night and seeing, Jenny Craig commercials or Weight Watchers on the screen? And diet culture as a whole uses these images to try and sell you the idea that smaller equals better. Now, I recognize that there's still going to be brands and trainers and influencers, probably including some of my friends, who still use these photos for marketing. And they might get a little defensive and I might get some pushback, but I think it's really important to talk about this. Because the truth is that these pictures imply that the after picture is a happier, more valuable version of a person, and the before picture is something that they need to get away from. So what they end up doing, whether subconsciously or consciously, is feeding shame, comparison, and the feeling that we're always less than the person who's gone through this transformation, less than who we used to be when we were smaller, less than who we used to be before we were pregnant, or before we got a chronic illness. Less than somebody who can afford personal training. Less than somebody who's been doing it longer than you. And they also set up this false idea that health is only measured in inches or pounds instead of how you feel, how you function, and how you're living. And I'm not mad at somebody who wants to share their aesthetic transformation. There's a lot to be proud of when somebody's put in the hard work, but real transformation isn't always visible. It's also feeling more energized. It's sleeping better. It's trusting yourself around food. It's finding peace. And none of that shows up in a side-by-side picture. And these pictures also leave out some really important context. Like, okay, they lost a lot of weight, but what was their mental health like? Did they struggle with depression or anxiety? How about disordered eating? What about socioeconomic barriers? Did they lose their job for a couple of months? Did they struggle with food insecurity? Access to healthcare? It might be pretty shady if I decided to put before and after pictures up of my client who has stage 4 cancer, but you would never know. I have loads of clients who haven't necessarily dropped 10 or 20 or 30% body fat, but have seen dramatic transformations in their relationship with food, their relationship with their body and exercise, who are now living lives that they feel are much more fulfilled than they were before. And it's not just because their body is unrecognizable. A lot of times it's because their mindset changed and their lifestyle definitely did. The fact is that before and after pictures promote a one-size-fits-all idea of wellness. And I just can't get behind that. Not anymore, at least. As a young trainer, and I'd say even up until maybe a year ago, I was still using transformation photos on my website to show people that I knew what I was doing, that I was an effective trainer. I even felt pressure to put my own pictures up of my transformations because in my industry, there's a saying that says your body is your business card, which is pretty shitty. But like it or not, progress pictures are a very effective form of marketing. Humans are very visual creatures. We've been trading and bartering since the dawn of time. If I'm going to give you money, I want to know that I'm going to get something in return. I know better now, but I didn't think back then that my assurance would be enough. And I'd see other coaches gain followers and clients from showing these dramatic befores and afters, and I would question whether or not people would just believe in my coaching if I didn't play along. And I'd get on social media and I'd promote all this anti-diet culture stuff, which is something I'm really passionate about and truly believe in. But I would still have before and after pictures up on my website, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody out there wrote me a message and said, Adam, why do you still have before and after pictures up if you're spreading an anti-diet culture message? And I tried to justify it. I'd tell myself that this was a small price to pay to get people to buy into an anti-diet culture program. If they bought in first because of the before and after pictures, and I could teach them how to escape toxic diet culture in the rest of their lives, then that was a fair trade-off. And that may be true to an extent, but I know that there are other people who would see those before and after pictures and it would make them feel bad about themselves. And so whoever it was that wrote me that message, if you're listening now, just know that that message did make a difference. And it got me to reevaluate and change the way I did things. Was it malicious? Of course not. But the reality was that I was perpetuating the same kind of diet culture that harmed me in the first place. I know what it feels like to be reduced to a number, to think that your only worth is in being in a smaller body, to lose weight and still not feel good enough. I could not be a part of that anymore. So I made a choice and I removed all the before and after pictures from my website, from my social media. I stopped asking clients to take before pictures, and I trusted that the right people would find my program regardless. And they have. I'll be honest, it was a scary decision because I thought maybe I'd lose out on some potential clients who were on the fence, and maybe I have. But more importantly, it's allowed me to be at peace knowing that I am not contributing harm. It's allowed me to create deeper work and help clients feel like they are seen as more than just their appearance and not feel like they're being used as a marketing prop. Now I share testimonials, clients talking about their experiences in their own words, telling their own stories. They talk about feeling stronger and more confident and more connected to their bodies. They talk about the freedom they've found around food and being able to wear clothes they love again and feeling more at home in their bodies. Those testimonials carry a kind of nuance you'll never get in before and after pictures. They carry raw emotion. They show who someone has become rather than just what they looked like in a moment. And that's the kind of transformation that I care about. I used to have a screenshot of a quote that I really liked about the idea of personal training. And I've searched the internet, I've searched my phone, and I can't find it anywhere, unfortunately. So I can't quote it exactly. But it's stuck with me since I first started training. And it said something like, we don't sell TVs or tires. We sell the quiet dream that someone has at night when they lay their head on their pillow and imagine a better life. If anyone can find that quote in its entirety, please send it to me. I'd love to read it on air. Because even though I can't remember the entire thing, the message that I don't need to hand someone something tangible, I just need to help them have hope, has stuck with me as long as I've coached. A before picture often captures someone when they're at their most vulnerable and painful point. Do you know how many clients I've had come to me and tell me they don't like taking pictures with their families on vacations fully dressed? But personal trainers want them to take pictures at different angles in their underwear, forcing them to look at the parts of themselves that they're most uncomfortable with. It just turns that person into a prop, a piece of meat, not a person, but a body in progress. And what we don't talk about is that people often regain weight, and that happens for a number of reasons. So what happens then? Do we archive that post? Do we erase their story because it doesn't fit into the narrative anymore? Do we make them feel like failures because they didn't maintain that thin body? There's an analogy I use with my clients quite a lot, and it's this. Progress is not a race. There is no finish line. There's no ending destination. It's really more like a garden. It's something that will always take tending, nurturing, attention, and it's going to happen in seasons. It's not going to look the same way all the time. You can't just do a diet, lose weight, and then stay at that point forever. That's not how weight loss works. That's not how bodies work. Maintenance is work. And so the method you use to get there needs to be sustainable because progress is a process. You are more than a moment in time. You are more than a number. You are more than a photo. Now, I'm not going to say that progress pictures can never be useful, okay? If you can look at those pictures in a neutral way and just recognize that each photo is a page in a flip book, and that it's simply one tool we can use to see change over time, okay. But constantly documenting your body and flipping back and forth through the pictures like it's one of those spot the difference games creates anxiety and a disconnection. It trains us to be our own surveillance systems, always watching, always criticizing, and always body checking. And fat people are not the only ones who struggle with the pressure of before and after pictures. There are countless fitness professionals and bodybuilders who are editing their photos on social media as we speak. So I'll say it again. When we remove visual metrics, we allow for internal changes to matter. True transformation is peace. It's freedom. It's not thinking about your body all day. Social media has normalized using your body for validation, but that is optional. You're allowed to opt out. There's a reason I don't post a bunch of pictures of myself shirtless, and that's because you're not getting this for free. You kidding me? I'm kidding. It's because my body is not my business card. Let's start talking about the progress we see outside of aesthetics. Better sleep, reduced anxiety, better boundaries, freedom from guilt, more energy, more confidence. Let's expand what we celebrate and stop clapping just because someone loses weight. You don't need a picture to prove you're making progress. It's okay to want to change your body, but you are more than a project. You are a person with a story, with strength, and with so much more than a side-by-side picture could ever show. Keep showing up. Your story is worthy, even when it's unfinished, especially when it's unfinished. You are not a before picture, and you never were. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Showing Up Anyway. You can find it for free on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you're listening, if you like the show, I'd love it if you gave me a 5-star review, because that does help other people find the show, and hopefully it'll help change their life just like you're looking to change yours. If you're listening on Spotify, though, you can follow me and tap the bell icon so you get notifications when new episodes come out. I'm Coach Adam. Remember, when things get challenging, keep showing up.